Question 2, should we short Canada? I'll let you guys read into that. Awesome. So the crux of the question really was Wasim from Toronto, a great participant on Weekly Notebook Review, really loving his enthusiasm and the way that he's digesting the Hedgeye content. So Wasim, keep it up, buddy, and good question. So again, I don't think I'm going to be too harsh, but hopefully you take it as definitely constructive criticism or whatever. Anyway, the core question or the core answer is it depends. It's your question is rooted in factual statements. However, whether Canada remains a short over the next 6 months will be predicated by the signal. And interestingly enough, I believe it hit your inboxes for anybody who's an ETF Pro subscriber. Canada EWC was removed this morning. So I'm not sure if I suspect that broke trend. And therefore, or the signal just significantly weakened, and Keith has taken it off the board from an ETF Pro standpoint. So, I'm personally, I'm an inquisitive soul and love to think through the domino effects, right? A plus B equals C. However, in this game, it often equals Y or Z or W, whatever it might be, right? So one of the biggest things I had to let go from doing this in terms of my early days of Hedgeye and in my Hedgeye journey, and sometimes now as well, right? You can get into these narratives a little bit, but it's to disregard the narrative, leave the narrative in its own little space and world, right? There's so much noise out there in Twitter, even in kind of your own bubbles or communities of people that you talk to, whether it's about investing or at work or what have you, right? So leave those narratives aside and certainly, try to kind of back away from having that influence your position or what inventory goes into your portfolio. It's a heck of a lot more freeing simply focusing on what is working and focusing more energy on one's process and that combo, in my humble opinion, typically generates alpha, right? So if you just focus on what's winning, not really worrying about why it's winning, but really focusing more energy on executing at the right times and sizing those winning positions up, that really should help you generate alpha, and hopefully you'll see that in your position. So just to pivot back to EWC though, and it's a little bit of a moot point now that Keith has removed it to ETF Pro, but when I was preparing for this last night, it was still currently listed within ETF Pro on the short side. However, Keith did cover it yesterday in our TA because it wasn't going down on down days. There are a couple things here. Yeah, perfect. Thanks. So do you mind actually blowing that up just a little bit more? I don't know if that's possible. Perfect, man. And so there's a couple things that I really wanted to highlight. And today's session, we're going to be kind of looking at a lot of RTA. So for those that don't have the RTA product, you're going to get a little bit of a glimpse into what that looks like. But one of the big things here, and this goes beyond just EWC, and I want to showcase this or call it out because these coaching notes really should be digested and implemented across the portfolio or across the way that you're making decisions. And this is a key one. Going down on down days, when a short position isn't going down on down days, those aren't good shorts. It's a very simple statement, but it's incredibly powerful. And this is where RTAs have completely pivoted in the last last year or so. And having these coaching notes and the way that Keith is kind of giving you snippets of information. It used to just basically be a cover short EWC, and it would be kind of that top one line, right? So, but having these extra notes in here is incredibly important. And the other component here is again, who cares if it's not going down? They're just tickers. It's just inventory. Every ticker within global macro is simply inventory. It's an easy concept to understand. It's a lot harder to put into practice and to either take a loss on a short or to cover something at a very small gain, right? It's just inventory. So work to pivot your mindset to treat the pieces of your portfolio with such disdain. You don't give two F's as to what they are, what what the exposure is. It's just a ticker. It's just a piece of inventory with this signal. And is it working? Is it not? Is it gaining strength? Is it losing strength? Just challenge yourself, right? Challenge yourself to really focus on that concept. It's a challenging one because we want to be right on every trade, right? We want to be right. But and it's really hard to admit failure, I guess, right? At the same time, that's kind of probably why we want to be right all the time, because if we're not right, then we're failing, and failing sucks. But it's even worse, losing 50% of the portfolio, or just not protecting your portfolio so that you can compound it in the right moments of time. And again, I work on this concept daily, and it's a challenging one, but once you can free yourself up to just think about things as inventory, then you that mindset, that rule, that strategy, you're gonna have fewer losers, you're going to have fewer losers within the portfolio, and you're going to have better capital allocation, right? The better your capital allocation becomes. So just wanted to kind of touch base on that. I think is a really key thing. And then lastly, that third bullet, cover it and move on. Out of sight, out of mind. We touched base on this a little bit on the weekly notebook review on Wednesday night. So if you're not familiar with that, weekly notebook review, it's live on Twitter Spaces at 4:30 on Wednesday afternoons. So that's 4:30 Eastern, live on Twitter Spaces. It's an audio, kind of everybody Hedgeye Nation gets together and talks through what's changing in the week in the notebook from a signal standpoint, things that we're noticing on a midweek basis. You can also review it if you can't catch it live. We post it via the YouTube, our Hedgeye YouTube channel, as well as via podcast channels like Spotify and Apple. But anyway, this is not a plug for weekly notebook review. The point is, we reviewed that concept in terms of just getting rid of a loser, whether short or long. It can be incredibly freeing, right? So just free yourself of the losers, whether it's people that are losers in your life, or tickers and pieces of inventory in your portfolio that are losers. Just get rid of them. You'll just freeing. It's freeing.